Should you sound like a professional? What is the requirement? Should you train yourself to sound like a professional while working on your fluency? My name is Rini Rose Matthew. I'm a CELTA certified tutor and also an author. Welcome to my channel. Thanks for supporting me. You can take a look at the channel description and go through the other videos. The path to developing yourself is more important than sounding like a professional. So does it mean that you don't have to sound like a professional? Not at all. First, let's find out the difference between an expert and a professional. There are a lot of expert speakers today, and they are distinguished. They have their unique qualities, strengths, and their weakness also. Now, when it comes to experts, they have their expertise. They are good at something, skilled. At the same time, some of them are professional. Professional need not be always formal. Now, when it comes to a cabin crew, a language instructor, a consulting agent, or any other profession, you need to be professionally trained to meet the needs and requirements of that particular profession. So you may go through in-house training, sometimes you will be sent to some other places to get yourself trained. But there is something beyond that. The base is there. Now, expert means when you're exceptionally good, you excel at something. Not necessarily that you have to be famous, you just require the skills. And you could be having your unique agenda, unique abilities, unique talents. Professional means when you're trained, when you're able to do something at a professional level, where you work for a company, where you train people, or it could be any profession that you're dealing with, where you are equipped with a professional set of skills. Now, when you go for an interview, they want communication skills. They also would like to know if you can be trained. You don't have to always focus on speaking like a professional while working on the language. Then what is it that we have to work on? That is the question. Now we know the difference between expert, professional. The next concern is, where should you sound like a professional? And who should get trained? Regarding who should get trained, you know it is a professional requirement. But where should you sound professional is another aspect. You need to sound professional when you conduct a meeting, when you're part of a meeting. If you want to express your views, it can be formal and even semi-formal. In my case, I have to be professional, I have to be semi-formal also at times when I deal with my learners. Then when it comes to certain other areas where you deal with your customers, you have to be professional. It also involves the approach and attitude, not just speaking like a professional, because that can sound a bit monotonous, right? So these are some of the areas where you expect yourself to sound like a professional. Now the next concern is, should I train myself towards sounding like a professional while working on my language? Not necessary. First, you have to work on your fluency. Do everything that can contribute to your fluency. That eventually leads to language skills. And then your communication gradually becomes better. I have done videos on how to sound confident, how to build your confidence, how to build your fluency, everything. Now here the concern is, what do? I have to sound professional. But how do I begin? Work on your fluency, the flow. Apart from that, you don't have to put the stress of sounding like a professional, because that can spoil the very path, the direction you take to tune yourself to sound like a professional, to sound like an expert, and also to be professional at your workplace. Now, there is another aspect to this. There's another tributary, in fact, that is, when you sound like a professional, you should also be genuine. You can't just sound like that, because these days you can use some phrases, you can use some words and just sound like a professional, but that's not enough, right? You need some skills along with that. There are teachers with 36 and 25 years of experience, but they may not be professional. I'm not speaking about the approach and the attitude. That is different. That also comes a little bit with the personality. But I'm speaking about sounding like a professional, which comes with all these aspects. The first one is work towards fluency. Work with your thoughts. Work with the flow. That contributes to fluency, not just bombastic phrases, language, and idioms and words. The next point is to always find out, identify the set of skills that's required at a particular workplace with a profession as well. Now, when it comes to a cabin crew, they require a set of skills to be professional, to have a professional attitude towards different passengers, dealing with different people. When it comes to teachers also, we are trained, but all of us have the basic skill set. So find out the areas, the skill set that you require. If you're an engineer, a doctor, a consulting agent, data analyst, identify the skill set that you require. And after that, of course, you will get some professional training at your workplace, but otherwise also it will help you to prepare yourself for that professional learning phase. This can happen consciously and subconsciously. When you observe people around you, you will get to know about the requirements at the workplace and you will learn from them gradually. But otherwise, you can also train yourself while you work on this language. But do not put the pressure of sounding like a professional. The major point is, I mentioned that you shouldn't put the pressure. Then what should you do? You should work on your fluency. That's over. Work on your style. If you're going to sound like a professional all the time, you will not have distinguished, unique speakers. When you look at all the fluent speakers and experts, I don't think many of them focused on professional training and sounding like a professional. It just came to them gradually because they worked on fluency, their style, their tone, and all the other aspects necessary for communication skills. Of course, your body language is also important when it comes to sounding like a professional. I know that many people say you have to use specific phrases, sound like a native, use these words to sound like a professional. It's okay. It gives you the basics, but you have to build on that. It's not just the ornatory aspects. It's not just the build up and the ambience that you build around you of sounding like a professional. But you have the base. It's like the cake. You begin with the base, fluency, your approach, identify your strengths, your style, your tone, and then you work towards fluency, carrying all these aspects. Today, you're indoctrinated with the need, in fact, the urgency to sound like a pro. There is no urgency because you need to also be powerful with your speech, confident, at the same time, simple. Make it simple. Make it crisp and clear. At times I may have to elaborate on certain points because some of you are new to these kind of pointers. Because if you're going to reject the alternatives, you'll be able to focus better. You cannot expect yourself to focus on everything at the same time. You have to reject certain things, focus better, and then when you invest your time and your energy on a particular set of skills, you will gradually sound like a professional. And for that, you can record yourself. You can also check, analyze with other people, take some assessments with the help of tutors, mentors. I've spoken about this, but above everything, listen, read. Now comes the next point. I see a lot of teachers and many aspirants who want to become language trainers. Very few people have this ability to listen. Now, I'm not saying that they don't have ears to hear. They can hear. They are very smart also, but they haven't sharpened their ability to listen. Listening is important when it comes to sounding like a professional. The better you become when you listen to more content. Now, listening is not just listening to podcast and something that's recorded the content, but when you speak to someone also, pay attention. Observe, pay attention. You need to listen, observe, and then think about that. Everybody is in a hurry to speak. So when you're in a hurry, when you hurry with your thoughts, When you always ask others or yourself, am I better? Am I like that? I know that you're a curious learner. I know that you want to become better. Do not get trapped in this fast, frenzied pace that's prevalent today, because if you're going to hurry yourself, then you will miss out on different pointers. That is to listen and then work on the minute aspects. Now let me ask you, when you speak in your native tongue, do you sound like a professional? Not necessary. You're quite comfortable, you have the practice, the environment, and you just make use of whatever comes to your mind and your mouth, because you know that you're able to tackle this language. You've been using this as a tool, right? So even if you don't sound like a professional, you're not worried. You just want to express yourself. Do not be in the comfort zone, but make yourself comfortable using this tool. Sharpen your skills. You don't have to be worried about sounding like a professional, because that can spoil the real essence of sounding like a professional. Enjoy the path that you take, that you always choose to sound like a professional. The path is more beautiful than the end point. So here, when you speak in your mother tongue, I know that it's your mother tongue, you're quite comfortable, you have been using it. But when it comes to a foreign language, that's not the case. You don't have the fluency. But work towards that. Listening, reading, speaking, and little bit of writing. Use these phrases, use that word, use these words, and then you will sound like a professional. What about the other underlying aspects and factors that make you a real professional? By speech, by style, and of course your body language. So use this technique, little bit of technique that you have learned naturally while speaking in your mother tongue. You're not worried about whether you sound like a professional. When you listen to news readers reading news in your regional language, do they use the same language that's used at home or in the streets, or the casual colloquial language? No, they are trained. Even if some of them are not very good with the language, of course they may not know the meanings also. The words are different, correct? They stand out with the expressions, the phrase and everything, but the body language, the tone, the rhythm, everything gets training. There's a training period for that. Okay, so whether it is Telugu, Kannada, Hindi, Marathi, whatever it is, they have a natural flow, rhythm, speech style, and then they get the professional training. What if you can't read? What if you don't have the natural way of speaking in that particular language? What if you don't really understand what you're reading? Of course, you have the projector that's displaying the news and each and every line. There are basic skills. What you have to do is take little bit of the technique that you have been using to speak in your mother tongue. There you speak with so much pace because you're so comfortable, you're so confident. But when it comes to the English language, it's not necessary that you have to speak so fast. You can regulate your pace. Okay, so the technique is to not be anxious, to not first work on the advanced phrases, and to always work on the exceptional wordings and sentence structure. Take it slow, take it step by step, and then you can work on the professional aspects. And some people do it gradually, which is great, because when you do it gradually, that is when you work on the basics, along with that the professional training, whatever you get, it goes hand in hand. When it comes to some speakers, they don't even require the professional training. They just do it naturally. The technique of not becoming anxious, also not overwhelming yourself with all the requirements that's around you. So anxiety itself can increase your pace. Anxiety can also give you long pauses. So I'm giving you the different aspects or different problems faced by different learners. The kind of hesitation, the kind of refrainment that you have been into all these years can also stop you, block your mind from thinking further. And this can create a very big patch in your fluency. So this is a trick that you can borrow from the ease and comfort you enjoy while speaking in your native tongue. I hope this is clear, because this actually helps. It's not about translating and learning language. It's not about using the bilingual languages, but some techniques can help you when you learn a new language. The next is, when you work on your fluency, when you want to sound like a professional speaker, whether you're a teacher or a consulting agent or an engineer, stop comparing yourself to others. I know that you have to be a part of different meetings. At times you may have to lead the meeting, speak to your boss, to your stakeholders, to the higher authorities, but stop comparing yourself to others. That's not going to help. Every profession, especially when you want to upgrade yourself, when you want to get a hike in the salary, but beyond that, when you want to build your career, specifically when you want to get a promotion, you may have to really work and demonstrate and prove that you have the necessary skills. I know that you have to be a part of meetings. You may have to sometimes lead the meetings, also speak to your stakeholders, the company managers, and also when you really want a promotion, you have to prove your skills. So in such places, there can be an innate pressure that is developing. So before it bursts like a volcano, what you can do is stop comparing yourself to others, because everybody has got a different way of progressing and working on themselves. But that doesn't mean you can be a tortoise all the time, where you can take your own sweet time, because time is also important. Why nobody is acknowledging my skills? Why nobody is paying attention to me? I'm also working hard. I've been with this company for a very long time. All these questions can cloud your mind, and that's quite natural because you're a human being. You have the ability to think, but don't overthink, because when you take the action, you will also gradually work on these necessary skills. Comparing yourself to others and running behind the need to sound like a pro itself can damage. It can damage the inner confidence that you've already built. In the beginning, I said that you have to be worried about fluency. You would have already started working on the right methods. You would have identified your strengths, your action areas, but then you begin comparing yourself to others. You compare yourself with the urgent needs, not to others. With the urgent needs, the skill set, the skills that's required to promote yourself to the next level, to make you a better speaker. So there is a very big difference between comparing yourself to others and comparing yourself with others. Once your mind is damaged, the mindset itself ruptures, and nobody can work on this. You will take longer time, you may take years, at times months, to repair that. Why do you want to go for the repair when you can just prevent it? I see a lot of YouTubers and a lot of learners who compare themselves to others. Please don't do that. Please don't force yourself to sound like some other professional. You have your own style, dignified and distinguished style. Work on that. The last point is, should everyone sound like a professional? Not necessary. If you're going to work towards this professional skill set all the time, no distinguished speaker will be there. A company, an organization, or an institution will always put forth the necessary professional skills that's required by an employee. They will tell you, they will train you, because we need original, unique, distinct speakers with good communication skills. It's not just about speaking, but people good with a range of skills. When you become busy to make yourself sound like a professional, you may miss out on many points. The minute details, the small things that can create a big difference, the words that you choose. Sounding like a professional doesn't mean that you have to use all these big words, but the minute differences, the unique qualities that you highlight subconsciously can make a huge difference. To sound like an expert professional who have been at it for a longer period of time. So training is important. The external factors are important, but beyond that, developing the affinity to only sound like a professional is not going to do any good. Even after becoming a professional speaker, you have to mold yourself, groom as per the requirements, and at the same time, you have to update your skills. And for that, all these things that you have been doing to sound like a professional counts. If you take a 6-month course, or if you just get trained for 10 days, 60 days, that may not be enough if you don't have these underlying factors. The path can be rugged. It may have a lot of stones and thorns, but There is no end point to sounding like a professional. You groom, you develop, and you progress. I hope you understand and you have really listened to the important aspects that I've mentioned throughout the video. Work on it. How to sound like a professional is a trending topic today. It is the need of the hour, and it's a timely help if you really work on yourself. At the same time, do not forget to enjoy this path of keeping your style, your uniqueness, all that you have been good at. Work towards those strengths, working on the improvement areas. So first, recapping the whole thing, identify the skill set that's required in your profession. Work to the needs and requirements of that particular profession. Even if you don't have anything in your mind, if you're blank, if you're a college student or if you're a fresher, or even after 10 years of experience you're blank, what you could do is identify your strengths, especially when it comes to communication skills and language. And then keep that point at the back of your mind. When you speak in your native tongue, what are the things that make you a different speaker? It could be your tone, humor sense, or it could be the way you articulate the words, the way you use some puns, phrases, anything. Incorporate those strengths in the new language. You will be able to do it. And then forget about this anxiety, forget about the stress that you face. To some extent, nervousness is okay because it helps you to build yourself. At the same time, do not overdo, get overwhelmed with sounding like a professional all the time. I hope you get the point. And today you are good, and tomorrow you are going to become better. The best will always come to you. Happy learning.